For the Town of New Windsor work session for August 21st, 2023. All council members are present. Approval of minutes for the July 17th, 2023 work session meeting. They have been emailed out to everybody. Do I hear a motion for approval?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from July 17th, 2023 work session. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Letter to businesses. Gary had wanted to send this out, and I thought it would be better to let the council review the letter and make any comments or questions before it was sent out, if it's sent out.
I emailed it to everybody earlier this afternoon.
Should we just look at the one that's in the
Yeah,
email? I read it earlier, but yeah.
Again, this is coming from Hughes Trash Removal. They called a couple times with concerns, complaints that a couple of the businesses are, putting out large amounts of trash and recycling. And so then I got in looking into and discussing with them on what constitutes a stop, of which we pay a per unit stop. And it's basically currently a $2.50 per stop, whether it's residential or commercial. And what they basically bid on was that that $2.50 stop includes up to 3 trash containers of household refuse per week with a limit of 25 pounds each, and up to 3 recycle toters per week with a limited weight of 25 pounds each. So that's pretty much where we're at. I will note that Uncle Maddie's gets 1 regular stop, and then he on his own pays for a second stop. He's done that from day one, as far as I know.
I see them over there doing that, yeah.
Just as an example.
So Gary, I have a couple things. So in the letter, we talk about, in paragraph 3 at the beginning, in an effort to address these concerns and offset the increased county tipping fee. So I believe that what we're trying to do here is be contractually compliant. So we have a contract with Hughes that lays out the specifics that you mentioned, 3 containers at 25 and on and on. And that's what we're trying to do. When we have in the letter the words to offset the increased county tipping fee, that almost sounds like maybe we are penalizing our businesses somehow. And that's not what we're doing at all. This is simply to make sure that we are compliant with the contract that we currently have. So I think maybe those words could be tweaked a little bit.
Okay.
I think that it's also missing in there effective immediately. I think we need to tell the businesses that, starting on Wednesday, after you get this letter, effective immediately, we're going to hold you to these requirements that are in there. And lastly, I think that maybe we should put those specifics about the containers and the weights a little right up in the newsletter about it, because we probably have some residents that may overreach that as well, and they may not know that. I'm not sure. I knew the cost of the stop, and I'm not sure I knew the weight requirements and the container requirements and things like that. So I think maybe it would be good to put that in the newsletter as a little blurb about our contract right now. And lastly, I wanted to thank you for putting the letter together. I know it's another thing you got to do, and it was a good letter, I thought, but a couple little tweaks, I think it'll be right on.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are any rental properties over exceeding any of that? They get like 7 apartments has capability of putting 21 containers out.
Yeah, the concerns or calls from Hughes did not reference any rental properties. It was a couple of businesses.
Do we pay, for the example that Mayor Roop did, a unit with 7 apartments in it, do we pay 7 times $250, or is that considered one stop?
I believe it's considered one stop.
So that's probably a bit of a problem then.
Well, maybe, I have to check on that.
Yeah, that
I
would
have
be good
check
to
on
know.
that. Cause we basically go off of, well, recently, we haven't had any new rental properties come on, really.
Right.
So we've been going off of the increase the as Snyder's is building out and we're getting houses approved, then we periodically send an updated EDU, i.e. number of stops to use, but I'd have to look at and ask specifically, I guess, how, if those individuals, like 6 units here at the corner, is that considered 6 stops or is that considered 1 stop?
Yeah, and the one over here. Those
Yeah.
are the 2 big ones, yeah.
Sugars on Church Street, yeah. Now, they have dumpster though.
Oh, okay, so they're not a good, what about the one down at the corner? That's got several units in
Yeah,
it
I
too.
don't believe they have a dumpster, but,
Trash cans.
yeah. So I can check on that.
Okay.
So Gary, you know, I couldn't agree on much with Dave has said and covered, and, you know, looking at it as a whole is, you know, and like was stated before, I think, you know, it'd be good as well that people are knowledgeable in the newsletter to understand exactly, you know, what is contained and what the limits are within the collection. But it's fortunate, at least to this point, I guess, that the amount of complaints from Hughes at this point isn't, you know, tremendous.
No.
But they're at least pinpointing some stuff, and, you know, to be fair to them, and because there is a contract and
Right.
and whatnot, that we are meeting that and informing and educating people
Okay.
as to what that contract.
When did the
Contains.
first complaint from Hughes come in?
It was a little while ago. I'd have to check the log. I would say probably 2-3 months ago, maybe even more. And then we were talking with them and you know, getting the information together, and then basically said we'll have to send a letter notifying the businesses of what's going on. And they actually confirmed Maddie's paying a separate pickup, separate
Well,
stop.
People, the businesses should know or have some idea that New Windsor and Union Bridge are only 2 municipalities that don't make all businesses get their own trash collector. Union Bridge, I think, has this 3 bins, and then after that, you have to. So I think they have that as a policy, but every other municipality, all businesses, even
It's private.
Michelle has to
Oh,
have.
yeah, well, my building paid for, I don't remember who it was, but I know it wasn't Ecology coming behind the building and picking up.
So I think people, the businesses, you know, we always try to
Be business friendly.
be
you know.
business friendly, but
Yeah.
there's some limits where they have to be town friendly as well, if you want to put it that way.
Since it's a big bill.
Yeah. My only concern is if, what happens if people abuse this and don't abide by it? Do we tell Hughes not to pick it up, or bill them, or?
I don't know that you want to get into the business of saying, okay, we'll just send you a bill.
But, I mean, we gotta have some kind of.
Well, I think that's probably something that we'll have to work out with Hughes. And if you have, this goes to everybody, which is completely appropriate. Put it in the newsletter, that's completely appropriate. If you have a couple of scofflaws or scoff contracts, I guess would be the better way to put it, then you can address those letters directly to those businesses. And if the instruction has to go to Hughes to pick up the first 3 you see and leave the rest, obviously that's not ideal because you don't want trash out on your streets. But at the risk of sounding like my grandmother, I think we kind of have to cross that bridge when we come to it.
That's all right.
Hopefully everybody will just
Yeah, I
cooperate.
think a lot of people really
They
don't
really think
know.
about it. Yeah.
And Gary, one thing I just, for my own educational piece, like we talked about, like the rental up there, because it's one physical address, is it considered 1 stop or multiple stops because of the tenants? If we have a business that's here that is, you know, a business and a residence, is that considered 1 stop because it's an address, or 2 because it's got 2 purposes?
We have a few of those.
Good point.
You know,
That stuff I'll just have to verify with yous in terms of how they're treating the multiple units. They said that goes back in there, the stop count, or what they bid and what we had before was already in place, you know what I mean? So I'm not sure, I'd have to verify with them on how they're looking at that.
So do we need to wait to send this out for you to find that, or are we good the way this is? Because I'm wondering if we should build something into the letter that really nicely says to the businesses, you know, by the way, we're one of the only municipalities that picks up trash for businesses. I'm not saying say it like that, but it's just to sort of point out we're already.
Not a bad idea, because if they only have one business and it's here,
Right.
they don't know what other people are doing.
Right, just, I don't know, I mean, I could think about how to say that if you can't come up with anything, Gary, but I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Continue to be one of the only.
There you go, I like that.
However, we request your assistance.
So long as
There you
you
go.
shape up.
You want me to add some verbiage in on that?
Yeah, I think that wouldn't be it, because they probably don't know that, and it's kind of important, because most businesses have to pay for trash removal, separately. It's a line on their, budget. So,
It's just us and Union Bridge, right?
I'm pretty sure. I think I sent an email or a text out to all the mayors one time, and I think Perry said that they do allow for like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it was that way for residents. I'm not sure, but I don't know what their policy is on residents, but
They're probably paying about the same as we are, so.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, sir? Thank you. RFP, Certified Public Accountants. Dana, you want to touch on that, or Gary?
I got just a real quick, and then Dana can add in. So the town's auditing firm, ZA for short, recommended we look into the services of CPA. So Dana started with a temp, recommended temp experienced in accounting and specifically QuickBooks. She worked with her for about a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe. Part-time, got to the point where she had basically done what she could do to assist us, and then that temp also recommended an actual CPA to assist. So Dana prepared an RFP, reached out to 8 local firms by phone to see if they were interested. 4 of the firms are not accepting new clients. One said they couldn't meet the qualifications that we needed. We did receive an hourly rate from a firm in Tonytown, and then we're waiting to hear back from two other vendors or 2 other CPAs, and Dana will be following up on that. It'll basically be an on-call situation as needed. I put in there approximately maybe 4 weeks a year, depending. The first year might be a little more. After that, it would probably just be periodic, prior to and maybe after budget season, budget time. And so the RFPs, the proposals for the RFPs are due September 1st. So we'll keep you posted on that information.
All right. Thank you. RFP, Blue Ridge Pump Station.
Okay, so I've mentioned this before, there's very long lead time on generators. So we were trying to, a little while ago, pinpoint and finalize when we want to put the pump station upgrade out to bid. So what we decided to do was more seriously look at pre-purchasing the generator and the automatic transfer switch. So what we did was we had one proposal from a vendor, and then we talked with Michelle and thought we should get a couple more prices. I reached out to a couple more vendors, so put together an RFP for that. Reached out to 4 local and well-known generator suppliers, including the one that had provided us a proposal, and their proposal was a little bit dated, so I gave them basically the opportunity to rebid it as well and update. Again, the RFP bids will be due September 1st. Just as a reminder that the pump station upgrade will be funded with ARPA money as well as the pre-purchase of the generator and transfer switch. So the idea here is to get a contract with a vendor, get the generator ordered as soon as possible, and then cut down on that way we can then put the project out itself for bid and run those and try to save time and delays with that project and keep it moving. So
Handling that, and what I've seen in my industry for a long time, is smart, because a lot of places would bid things out, including all the materials and all the other stuff that was necessary to complete a project. But then, of course, they're paying, the figured markup on every item that comes back in, where a lot of them nowadays are buying their own generators, their own switch gear, their own whatever, so that they pay the best price, and they're not paying a markup coming back from a contractor on it.
all four, I forgot to mention, all four of these vendors are associated and work with the Sourcewell program. So we're going to be taking advantage of that, which we've done in the past on other items.
Gary, how are we selecting the equipment that we want to use for this project?
That was spec'd through the engineer GMB, and then they're also their electrical sub, they use GYPE Electrical for as their electrical sub for projects. So it was all consulted through those guys. That's not my wheelhouse, that's for sure.
And we could still split the ARPA money between, like, can we buy the generator separate and still use the ARPA money for that?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we can't. We were going to
It's still
use
for a water pump.
It's still for the pump station, yeah.
All right.
So we'll keep you posted on that one as well.
Maryland 31 Water Main Improvement Project.
Okay, received an update from Mid-Atlantic on August 14th with the status of the delayed delivery of the insert valves. They were told by the manufacturer the insert valves are scheduled for delivery the week of August 21st. I got confirmation today, late 3:30 this afternoon, they have the valves in hand, so that's a good thing. And they're going to stay on track to get started week of August 21st, and then I'll put that updated schedule back out they're going to start out at Springdale, and then they have dates. They're going to pre-dig each one, and come back the next day, do the insert valve on 4 locations. They do apologize for the delays. They recognize that they're a little behind from a scheduling standpoint, but are confident it will not impact the overall completion of the project. And I said it before, you hear it all the time, the supply chain issues continue to be a problem everywhere, and it's really no fault of Mid-Atlantic's. Director Myers and myself are in regular contact with Mid-Atlantic on the 31 project and other water main issues and projects we got going on. So we're moving in the right direction now. Looks like the 28th we'll get started on those insert valves. And then after the insert valves, they'll start out with the water main install on Springdale Avenue, coming back towards town, working in. So.
And severe cold weather, anything, I guess, freezing, they are not going to be working.
Well, they can't do any. They'll do everything as a bypass. Now out there, I don't know if they'll set a bypass because you only have two services. I think it's the school and then the first property on the right as you go out. Springdale is about the limit. Yeah, but not that far. Forget the gentleman's name. Petrie or Petty, I believe. First house on the right, past the triangular piece on the corner. He's the first house on the right. So it's just those two. But once they get in and start doing bypass, you can only bypass from basically April to November because of the temperature.
Right.
So they plan to do other work during
that
the
time.
winter, the sewer clean outs and things that they can do where you can't have that above ground bypass going on.
Okay. Water line from chlorine contact tank to.
Okay, so there's a gravity line from the chlorine contact tank to the booster station. So the chlorine contact is up on top of the hill, up on, basically straddles the two Snyder properties or Snyder property. And then the booster station is downgraded that by about 1,500 feet or so. The line from the chlorine tank and the booster station are 60 years old. We've recently had issues with the gravity water line clogging. So what happens is over time, 60 years, you get, it's called tuberculation on the inside of the pipe. It just builds up. And parts of that stuff, for whatever reason, I mean, Lehigh's blasting right across the road. It's close proximity to that. Who knows? It's what's happening is the pumps lose pressure because the line is getting clogged. So when the way the station was originally designed, there wasn't an efficient and safe way to drain that line and clear the clog. So Public Works staff made piping and valving improvements to efficiently and more safely drain that line. We've had to do it a couple times. Knock on wood, since Wayne's been gone on vacation, we haven't had to do it. However, due to the age of that line and the close proximity of Lehigh's daily blasting, as I mentioned, that the clogging in line is expected to continue. So we're working with Mid-Atlantic on locating the main from the chlorine tank to the booster station. Right now it's in 10 foot of corn, so it's not marked. So we had 3 attempts to try to mark it. We tried to mark it ourselves, but there's only a valve at the chlorine tank, and then there's a valve at the booster station, and you got 1,500 feet approximately in between, and our equipment wouldn't do it. I tried doing it with Mid-Atlantic. We only got so far, not very far, and then we brought in fluid pinpointing solutions that have the high-tech equipment. We were able to get that all marked and basically staked out with the blue stakes. We got to put some taller PVC pipe on it because you still can't see with the corn where it is. Phil Snyder, who farms it and owns the property, has been very cooperative. Gave us the okay to cut it like a 3-foot path through there to mark the line, which we were able to do. And when we got to the other side of the field, there's a blue marker at the edge of the woods, and it was a good sign his equipment and his location was accurate because he came out the woods right there at the blue line. So he had a good location of that line through there. It's not just a straight shot. It bends and works its way through there. So that's been done. It's been located, and so we're looking at both directionally drilling a line and or traditional excavation installation methods, depending on the emergency, how quick we want to do it. We want to do it as quick as possible. Phil said he's going to basically be taking that corn off around the middle of September, second week in September. It's feed corn. So when Wayne gets back, we're going to sit down with Mid-Atlantic and look at our options and see how we want to go about it. What's the best way to do it? What's the best price? We are going to go with HDPE fused pipe. The Mid-Atlantic has access to a couple thousand feet of that. That's the guy's been trying to get rid of, and it's the exact size that we need. And what that is it comes in 40-foot lengths, and they basically do an infield heat fusion, and they put the pipe together, and it's as strong as becomes one continuous pipe. So whether we directionally drill it and pull it, or whether we open trench it and put it in, we're going to use the HDPE fused pipe. So I'll keep you guys posted on what's going on with that. So that's just another of the latest challenges of our water supply for the town. So, and we have other improvements that we have planned to do at the booster station, putting in new pumps. The pumps are 13 years old at least. And then like I said, the the booster station itself is 60 years old, so we need some other work, but we want to get this situation squared away first. So I'll keep you posted on that as well.
All right.
All right.
I'm guessing it's probably more of the age of the pipe than Lehigh's blasting, but
Well,
there's no way to
I don't
tell.
know. It wasn't happening before, and now it's happening.
It's probably both.
So,
It's right across the street, but it's also,
it's very close.
Right.
it's probably both.
Yeah.
Probably hastens its demise, basically, you know?
So,
All righty, 2008 Dodge truck.
You've got a transmission.
yeah, so the 2008 Dodge is having transmission problems. Director Myers took the truck to Len Stoller in Westminster for evaluation. Len Stoller diagnosed that the truck needs a torque converter, which is part of the transmission assembly at a cost of $4,000. They can't guarantee that replacing that torque converter will fix the problem entirely. Still may need a transition. Len Stoller, while they had also appraised the truck in current condition at only $1,000.
Oh, my God.
Director Myers also reached out to Criswell Dodge in Thurmont for an estimate to replace the transmission assembly, which includes both the torque converter and the transmission. And so the price of what Len Stoller gave us was in line with the total price of what Criswell is saying for the whole deal there, and including labor is $8,100. So Director Myers and myself, we don't see the value of investing $8,000 in this truck,
15-year-old.
and we recommend looking into replacing the Dodge with a full-size truck with possibly with a plow. Replacing the truck will better position Public Works with a more reliable and more versatile truck. So
You also got to remember that truck's got other issues too. So even if we did replace the transmission, it's still going to have electrical issues. It's still going to
Still a
have.
15-year-old truck.
yeah,
It's not a great truck at 15 years either.
doesn't have a lot of mileage. It's not the mileage.
Is there a reason why they didn't try Westminster transmission?
No. I mean, we can get more prices on transmission. It's just that, when we saw two that were basically in line with that, it's going to be give or take on that price. But I mean, you said Westminster transmission.
Yeah.
Or even Woodcraft too, right?
I tried Westminster transmission, that's what they do, so.
Never heard step 3 anyways, just
I mean, the truck only has like 35,000 miles on
Yeah,
it.
it's not the
I mean,
mileage.
not a great truck, it sounds like.
Now, if I remember, we bought that truck used, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got like a good deal on it, so we don't know. I mean, it has 35,000 miles on it. It could have been abused. We don't know
Right.
it was in good shape. The price was good when we bought it.
We needed one.
It's a darn shame, for the amount of miles that we put on it and the little use. I mean, it's a runaround truck for us. It's convenient to have a little truck like that. It's a darn shame that
Yeah.
we can't keep it alive.
How much is it gonna cost to buy another truck?
Well, we have to, look at, I mean, the used car market in general is really
It's
high.
terrible, believe
I
me.
mean, there's not much difference between a decent used truck and a new truck these days. Again, we use this source well, on anything new, like we did with the dump. We're not looking for anything as stout or loaded as the Ford that we purchased 2 years ago. But if we're going to go with a full-size truck, and get a plow on it, and don't need a salt box, that might just be something we look and have as an extra more versatile truck that we can plow with too. I mean, if we can look around it for used for sure, and we will, but from what I've seen of the used car market in trucks, there's a high demand for used vehicles these
Because you
days.
can't get new ones.
Right. Or you gotta wait in order.
Believe me, I'm in the process of that right now, so yeah. You don't have,
Pickup truck?
what do you mean you don't have any cars?
I know where you can get a
Sell you one for
2008
$1,000
Dodge for a song.
Deal for you.
$1,000.
Can't say no.
I can't.
All right. And you got a few notes there?
Yeah, just a reminder that the annual Frank Schaefer Memorial 5K, scheduled Saturday, October 21st, 9 a.m., Wakefield Valley Park. We are adding a 1 mile kids fun run this year. New advertising banners have been ordered and will be in a week from today, so we'll get those up as soon as we can. The sponsor request letters and applications have been mailed out. We've received 2 so far, and registration can be done on the runsignup.com site. And this year's flyer that Dana put together again this year has a barcode that you can just scan. It takes you right to the website to sign up. So please register for the 5K and or the kids 1 mile fun run. 12 years old. Limited to 12.
No 60-year-olds invited.
I'm just kidding. So that's just that on that. And then upcoming meetings is the September 6th council, Wednesday, September 6th council, Monday, September 18th work session. I will not be in attendance for that. And then the Wednesday, the October 4th council meeting. Just looking ahead a little bit.
Anybody have anything else?
I will not be at the September meeting, just,
September meeting.
yep.
This is the work session,
No, the meeting.
the council.
Is the music on the main meeting next week?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Okay.
All right. Nothing else. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So carried.
Record.
Shortest.